Hello and welcome to Solar Impulse TV Live. And we're here at the Monaco Control Center. For us here, it is 2:30 Central European time. For those who are surrounding the plane in Abu Dhabi, it's 5:30, and that means there's just an hour to go until the takeoff. The first takeoff for the highly anticipated round-the-world attempt. We're calling it an attempt because this is a first. It's never been done before. 13 years in the making, though. Huge amounts of planning have taken place and many missions have gone before, but this is really the one we've all been waiting for, with the second prototype plane, which is called SI2, Solar Impulse 2. As I said, around about an hour's time, taking off from Bateen Executive Airport. And so far, looking at the planning, and we're getting some images already from Abu Dhabi, it's all looking good so far. We're going to head over to Abu Dhabi now. And if we look at what's happening currently, we can see that the plane is outside of the hangar, and it's been taken to the apron in preparation to be towed by our ground crew to the runway, which is runway 3 at Bateen Airport. In the foreground there, we can see the representative of the Swiss government, Ambassador Nicolas Bidault, who was at a press conference yesterday to announce the departure. I actually spoke to Nicolas Bidault yesterday, who said that this was a great opportunity to showcase a side of Switzerland which we don't see so often, the high-tech side. And Nicolas Bidault is the one wearing the pink scarf there in the foreground. A little earlier this morning, there was a last-minute press conference given by the two pilots, Bertrand Piccard and André Borschberg. The pilot for this leg from Abu Dhabi to Oman is André Borschberg. He's the CEO of Solar Impulse and the man who put the team together to design and construct the team, so he knows the aeroplane inside out. Again, we're expecting takeoff at around 6:30 Abu Dhabi time. That's 2:30 GMT. Quite a short flight for Solar Impulse, around about 12 hours, which is extremely long for a normal pilot, but these are not normal pilots. And 12 hours is probably going to be the shortest flight that we see on this 12-leg round-the-world attempt. Now, in just a short moment, we will have more pictures coming to you from the apron itself, and there we can see the plane with the ground crew and attendants. For those of you who've been following Solar Impulse in the past, this may be the first time that you've seen SI2, which, as I said, is the second prototype plane, the one designed to take a pilot around the world. The people in the yellow jackets, the high visibility jackets, are members of the ground crew. And you can see that there are two of them actually holding wing spars on either side. This plane is more stable on the ground than SIA, which was the first plane, but it still does need two people to hold the wing spars to keep it steady on the ground. A bit like an albatross. It doesn't really like being on the ground, doesn't look too graceful, but it will look extremely graceful once we see the takeoff at 6:30 Abu Dhabi time, 2:30 Greenwich Mean Time. And Swiss Ambassador Nicolas Bidault has got that big heavy Swiss flag with him. I don't think he's going to do any flag throwing, but you never know. And these are live images coming from the apron next to the runway, where Solar Impulse 2 will take off in under an hour's time. You can see there in the orange jacket Bertrand Piccard, the initiator and co-founder of Solar Impulse, speaking to André Borschberg, who we can't quite see inside the cockpit. Bertrand Piccard, as well as many other things, is a qualified doctor, and We heard in the briefing yesterday that he's done a quick medical check over, and in his view, André Boschberg is completely fit to fly. You're watching live images of Solar Impulse 2, the plane that is going to be flying around the world. This is its first leg of this attempt from Abu Dhabi to Oman, what we call a pit stop, which means that there won't be much of a layover, just a few hours, taking off again tomorrow morning from Oman to Ahmedabad in India. That lovely double-decker bus that you can see is full of journalists. This record-breaking attempt has been extremely highly anticipated. We have members of the local and international press, TV, radio, and printed press. And that bus is just being brought into position. Just to let you know what's going to be happening from now until takeoff. There's going to be another farewell. The pilot, André Boschberg, will say a few words, as will, I'm sure, Bertrand Piccard. And we have a number of VIPs who are also going to be there next to the pilot to say a few words to the press. The Swiss ambassador to the United Arab Emirates, Andrea Reichlin, will be there. Dr. Al Jaber, who is the chairman of Masdar. Masdar is a UAE government-owned agency, one of the leaders in renewable energy and sustainable development in the Gulf. In fact, the leader in the Gulf. And they're going to say a few words. Not too many people, but around 10 people are expecting to be there with the pilots. And that is going to take place, I think, fairly imminently, because we can see that the Swiss flag has already been unveiled. After that, the door will be closed, and André Boschberg will be locked in for the duration of the flight. And after that, it'll be the normal technical procedure, starting with the engine run-up. And I will, of course, talk you through that. OK, well, let's take us back to Monaco here, Monaco Control Centre, and have a look at the entire round-the-world route, for those of you who don't know exactly where we'll be going. OK, let's take a look now at the map of the world. And let's start at Abu Dhabi. And that's where we are right now. Bateen Executive Airport is where Solar Impulse is. This relatively short hop to Oman, which still takes 12 hours in Solar Impulse, which is not a speedy jet. And that's Muscat, the capital of Oman. From there, we will cross over into India to Ahmedabad in the state of Gujarat. And after a few days stop in Ahmedabad, crossing over to Varanasi for another short pit stop, ideally an overnight stop, so that we can get on as quickly as possible to Mandalay in Myanmar. And from Myanmar, we will move into China, into Chongqing. I was speaking to some Chinese journalists yesterday, and they have assured me that the pronunciation is fine, Chongqing. If there are any Chinese people listening who don't agree, I apologize. By all means, send us in your pronunciation tips. More than welcome, and I will do my best to improve that next time. Chongqing, then on to Nanjing. And from Nanjing, we will head over the Pacific. And this is going to be, well, they're all big challenges, but this will be a particularly huge challenge. 5 days and 5 nights, taking us to Honolulu, to the United States. And then there's another very long, not quite as long, but still a very long flight, around 3 days, to continental USA to Phoenix, Arizona. This will be a bit of a welcome home for us because 2 years ago, if you've been following Solar Impulse, you'll know that we had an across America mission from San Francisco right the way through to JFK. And we had a huge amount of media interest there, and we are hoping and expecting that that will be repeated this time around. So from Phoenix, Arizona, the sunny state, to mid-USA, not sure where exactly, but we have very good contacts with the airport authorities in the United States, and then we will head over to New York. Finally, over the sea again, over the Atlantic Sea for another huge, grueling flight, and then the last leg, which will be from either Southern Europe or Northern Africa, back to Abu Dhabi, and that will be another extremely complicated flight. Now, let's head back now to Abu Dhabi, where Bertrand Piccard is still speaking with André Borschberg and also having a chat with Michael McGrath, who is part of our design team, and he's one of the people who was heavily involved with the design of the cockpit, so they're probably talking through some of the finer elements of what's happening in the cockpit. With a very relaxed-looking Ambassador Nicolas Bido hoisting the Swiss flag over his shoulder. If you're wondering why the pilots are wearing these orange jackets, these jackets are designed especially for the pilots in flight. One of the ideas being that if, and we hope and pray this isn't going to happen, if they have an emergency and have to bail out, that orange is a much more visible colour for any potential rescue attempt. If you've just joined us, this is Solar Impulse TV Live. Solar Impulse TV coming to you from the Monaco Control Center. And what you can see right now are images of Solar Impulse 2, which is at Bateen Executive Airport in Abu Dhabi, in the United Arab Emirates. The latest indications we have are that takeoff is still scheduled for 2:30 GMT. This flight is not expected to present any particular problems for André Borschberg, an extremely experienced fighter pilot. But a little later on, and before takeoff, we will take you through some of the finer details of the weather conditions that the pilot can expect to face, because this plane is extremely susceptible to weather conditions and can only take off if the conditions are exactly right. And that's one of the reasons, in case you were wondering why the takeoff has been delayed. The initial takeoff date that we were all hoping for was the 1st of March. But that wasn't possible primarily because of the weather conditions, the wind speed being too high to allow takeoff. We've had sandstorms in the region, we've had all kinds of weather conditions that made it impossible for Solar Impulse to get off the ground. If you're just joining us, this is Solar Impulse TV Live, and these pictures you can see are coming to us from Abu Dhabi. You can see Bertrand Piccard speaking to André Borschberg, who's making his final pre-flight preparations. If you're wondering why there's a man with a pink scarf holding an enormous Swiss flag, it's because this is a Swiss project. The plane was designed in Switzerland. The two pilots are Swiss. And the project has benefited from a huge support from the Swiss Foreign Ministry. All of the foreign ministries along the route are providing essential diplomatic backup and have been very helpful as well in helping us to get the flight permits and other authorizations that we need from all the countries along the way. Now you can see at Bateen Airport the cockpit of Solar Impulse 2. From the right of your screen, Bertrand Piccard, André Borschberg, today's pilot for this leg, and on the left, Dr. Sultan Al-Jaber, who is the chairman of Masdar. Masdar is our host partner in Abu Dhabi, and it's thanks to them that the plane and the team have been able to stay for so long and been welcomed so well by everyone in Abu Dhabi. And a big thanks to Masdar. Masdar is the leader in renewable energy and sustainable development in the Gulf region and has many projects in other countries around the world. And if you take a bit of a look around our website, solarimpulse.com, you can find out a little bit more about why we chose Abu Dhabi, or rather why Abu Dhabi chose us to be the departure and arrival point for the round-the-world flight attempt. In short, the Crown Prince and Bertrand Piccard met around 10 years ago already now, and the Crown Prince more or less said to Bertrand Piccard, look, if you manage to make this plane a reality, you have to start the round-the-world flight attempt in Abu Dhabi. And it happened.
Values there is between Masdar and Solar Impulse. Using technology to have a cleaner future and a cleaner world. And at the same time creating jobs with new products to save energy and be more energy efficient. You're showing the way, Sultan. On the ground, we're showing the way in the air.
Voilà. Très bien.
On passe. So we'll come back. We'll be there.
أنا مفروض أنا ما مرة.
المشكلة العالم is going to be on the ground. You want to try and do it? Can you give me the flag real quick? Okay. C'est bon pour toi, André, en passant de l'aéro? Pilot? Bertrand, c'est bon pour vous aussi? C'est toi qui décides à quel moment tu as besoin d'évacuer les gens, là pour l'instant.
T'as la VHF?
If you've just joined us, this is Solar Impulse TV live, coming to you from the Monaco Control Center, and the images you're seeing are coming to us from Abu Dhabi, with takeoff expected in just over half an hour for the first leg of the Solar Impulse round the world flight attempts. And a reminder that this is the only plane powered only by solar energy which is capable of flying day and night, carrying a pilot. The only plane in the world that can do that. And now we're getting ready for this groundbreaking, this record-breaking attempt to travel around the world in 12 legs. This first leg that you can see is imminent from Abu Dhabi Bateen Airport to Oman, to Muscat Airport.
Thank you very much. Now we're going to test the engines. I'd like you all back in the buses. We need to vacate the apron now. Thank you very much.
That's the voice of Niels Rieser, who's the head of the ground crew team, telling the media that the photo call is over. They need to clear the runway. Very shortly, the door to the cockpit is going to be attached. And from now on, once the door is on, if you want to see André Borschberg, you will be able to do so via our website, solarimpulse.com, via the SATCOM video. We have cameras inside the cockpit. You'll also be able to hear André as well, frequently. He'll be doing a number of interviews with local, national and international media during the flight, shortly after takeoff and shortly before landing.
We need to vacate media. We need to vacate media. We're in a wind situation. Tout le monde derrière, please. Everybody behind.
Marcus. If you've just joined us, welcome to Solar Impulse TV Live. Coming to you from the Monaco Control Center with pictures currently of Bateen Airport, André Borschberg being prepared for the takeoff. Next to him, to the left of your screen, you can see Bertrand Piccard, who's just making sure that André Borschberg is happy and ready for takeoff, which is expected in just over half an hour's time. And wherever you're watching this around the world, feel free to comment, to send in your messages to the pilot via the website itself or any of the social networks. We're on all of them. Just have a look for Solar Impulse. Send in a tweet, send in your photos, send in your videos. Everything is welcome. And by the way, we'll do our best to get the best ones on air. All messages of support are welcome, and we'll try and get the best ones to the pilot as well, who can access media during the flight. A little earlier this morning, there was a huge scrum of media that arrived on the tarmac. There were so many, they were brought in a very natty double-decker bus. And here in Monaco as well, there are more and more guests arriving all the time. I don't know if you can see them now, but there are a number of people who've come. We've got lots of media who are here as well. In terms of the media, we have, if I can have a look around me now, we've got Chinese media who are here. We have lots of French media. All the big national French media are here as well. Not far for them to come here in Monte Carlo. And we have a special guest as well, a new member of the team who we're expecting very shortly, who's actually going to give the go. Now, normally it's Flight Director Raymond Claire, but today we have yes, a new crew member, in fact, who's already branded, like me, wearing his vest. Prince Albert of Monaco, who you may have heard of. And we are in his home after all. And we're going to grab a few words with him after takeoff. Well, let's head back now to Monaco, to Abu Dhabi rather. And these images you can see of the ground crew who do need to be on the tarmac to look after the plane. With André Borschberg inside the cockpit, next to him Bertrand Piccard. This is a hugely emotional moment for both of them. This project has been 13 years in the making. And when it started, there was absolutely no guarantee it could happen. In fact, the aviation industry told Bertrand Piccard that it wasn't going to happen, it was completely impossible and couldn't be done. And look where we are now.
Who else is going on the service road, Olga? Who's going on the service road? Joan, you have to go. Joan.
This is Solar Impulse TV with live pictures of the Solar Impulse plane ready to take off. All indications have been very, very good. We're not expecting any problems. The plane is reacting very well. The pilot is in good health. And we aren't expecting any delays this morning.
Ah ouais, il y a juste Valérie qui a les noces.
Ça va? This is Solar Impulse TV live, and what you can see right now are live images of Bertrand Piccard, who is on the tarmac at Bateen Airport with the chairman of Masdar, Dr. Sultan Al-Jaber, and we're expecting very shortly for the door of the cockpit to be fixed, shutting André Borschberg, the pilot, in, and then we will have, as ever, all of the pre-flight preparations, the engine run-ups, and all the other pre-flight checks that need to be done before takeoff, which is expected in, if I check my watch, under half an hour's time now. This aeroplane is extremely susceptible to weather conditions. It can only take off if winds are very low, if everything is calm and happy. And if the weather's happy, Luc Trulemans is happy. Luc Trulemans is with me now. He's our expert meteorologist. Good morning, Luc.
Good morning, Connor.
And Luc, you're going to give us a bit of an update, actually, because we know that it's all looking fine so far. But it hasn't been easy for you, has it? The flight was initially supposed to begin on the 1st of March. It's been delayed a number of times now. So can we blame you?
Well, yes, there was a lot of wind over the area of Abu Dhabi, over the Emirates, because there was a sandstorm since it was beginning 1 week ago. It stopped now 3 days ago. And yesterday there was another sandstorm over the Iraq, and those dusts came over the Emirates again yesterday. That was the reason that it was so hazy, dusty hazy, with visibility only of 4 kilometers all the day yesterday. But this morning I saw now since 1 or 2 hours that the visibility is increasing again to 6 kilometers. It's nice. And after takeoff we will fly above the weather, above the cumulus clouds, above the turbulence in the direction of Muscat all the day. And the conditions in Muscat for landing are nearly ideal. There is.
What does that mean? Ideal?
Nearly ideal.
Blue skies, no wind.
No, it's the wind. My problem is always the wind. You know, this aircraft is so large that he may not land with crosswinds.
And that's because of the particular shape of the airplane.
Yeah, of course.
Extremely long wingspan.
We have limits of 4 knots. 4 knots is nothing. It's 7 kilometers an hour. It's nearly 5 miles an hour. So a crosswind of 4 knots, we have that always. And we need to look in the evening when the wind will be below this 4 knots. And it will be nearly 20 hours local time this evening at Email.
Well, normally flights have to take off very early and land very late. This flight is taking off relatively late, and we're landing relatively early. So does that mean extra problems for you?
Yeah, we must delay the landing because of this wind, and we will be over the Indian Ocean for a lot of time, waiting there until the conditions will improve over Muscat. So I think we will wait for 4 or 5 hours this afternoon, late afternoon, to find and to the good conditions for the landing in Muscat International Airport.
Okay, so as you said, a lot of circling. The pilot is going to have to stay stuck in that cockpit for quite a few hours.
We will circle over point with a nice name of Gerard in the middle of not in the middle of the Indian Ocean, but near the shore of Muscat, just away of the turbulence.
And this, I think, underlines the complexity of the project. This is supposed to be the easy flight.
This is normally the easiest flight, the shortest flight. A more complicated flight is waiting for us tomorrow between Muscat and Ahmedabad in India. And my colleague Wim de Troy is now studying the weather over this longer part. It will be a record or so, the longest part that Bertrand will fly. I don't know how much miles or how much kilometers it will be, but it was the longest flight for this aircraft. And Wim said just we will experience some trouble with cirrus clouds. Cirrus clouds are very high clouds, nearly 36,000 feet. Very thin, but just thick enough to cause some disturbance in the alimentation of sun energy on the aircraft.
Okay, cirrus clouds are the enemy, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. We have always problems with these aircraft. Cirrus cloud, turbulence, thunderstorms in the neighborhood, crosswind. So it's a lot of work for the meteorologist.
Okay, so as you said, quite a long holding pattern before we get to Oman, which will give Henri Borchert plenty of time to have a chat with the media, listen to his favourite tunes on his iPad that he's got in there, and you can interact with him. Do send in any messages you have for Henri Borchert, whether it's via any of the social media networks. It could be a photo, it could be a video, it could just be a simple tweet, and we will make sure the best get to him. Luc, thank you very much. This is, after all, your leg. You need to get back to work.
I will take one day tomorrow, and the day after we will begin to prepare another leg. Ahmedabad to Varanasi. It's
never
my
stops,
turn again. So we are two meteorologists and two pilots. So we work always with the same pilot.
Okay, thanks very much, Luc. Speak to you soon.
Okay, thank you.
Right, well, let's head back to Abu Dhabi to see what's the latest now. You can see that the bits of branding that were used for the press call earlier have been taken away. And you can also see that the cockpit door has now been attached. Now, if everything is going well and going to plan, then the next stage of the process will be the engine run-up. And if we get another view of the plane, I can take you through that. Okay, if everyone's moving away, that should signal that the engine run-up is going to happen. So what is the engine run-up? Now, before every takeoff, all of the motors, which are in the 4 gondolas, are going to be tested to maximum power. So everyone has to move back. And there we go. So we've had the run-up of the 2 motors and propellers nearest to the cockpit, and now we're getting the run-up from the other 2 motors. And you can see at this stage we need 3 people to hold on to each wing spar in order to keep the plane stable. And that's the end of the engine run-up preparations with all of the propellers aligned and ready for takeoff. You're watching Solar Impulse TV live, ready for the imminent departure of the round-the-world flight attempt, the first leg from Abu Dhabi to Muscat in Oman. The pilot today is André Borschberg, one of the co-founders of Solar Impulse. And you can see there in the orange jacket Bertrand Picard, the other founder of Solar Impulse, who will be taking charge for the second leg from Oman to Ahmedabad, which is expected to be tomorrow. Just a very short layoff in Oman overnight to change pilots, do essential checks, and then we'll head off to Ahmedabad in the state of Gujarat in India. You can probably see a bicycle in the middle of the screen. This is not a mistake. That's an electric bicycle, and one member of the ground crew is going to be following the plane during the takeoff. In case the plane has to abort, that electric bicycle will be there to be the first one to literally catch the plane by holding onto one of those wing spars to keep the plane stable on the ground. Well, while we're waiting for the plane to take off, let's take a little tour of the Monaco Mission Control Center, which is pretty busy. No media now on the tarmac. We've got plenty of media and VIPs and guests here. And I don't know if we can take a quick look now at what's happening here. It's getting very busy here. Lots of people are very excited and getting ready for this. Let me take you as well through Mission Control, what it is exactly. Well, the MCC is the guardian angel, you could call it the guardian angel of Solar Impulse 2, because we're looking after the welfare of the plane and the pilot. It's broken down into more or less 4 teams. We have mission engineers. These are the people who are looking at the telemetry which we're receiving. That's all the data that's coming from the plane, the flight position, the speeds, elevation, and also some data coming from the pilot himself, so we can check the oxygen level in his blood. We have air traffic controllers who are telling us whether or not everything is fine along the different positions along the route. We have flight strategists, and we have, of course, the meteorologists who are here, and they feed all the information to the flight director, who is Raymond Claire.
Able to have Solar Impulse in the air about 10 minutes. I hope the Mission Control Center, the atmosphere is like here. Here we have double-decker buses with our guests, the people of Masdar, with His Highness, Sultan Al-Jaber. Well, all the people who have been hosting us for 2 months in Abu Dhabi are here, and the authorities of the airport. And it's the worst moment for pilots now, you know, when the airplane is still on the ground and you just want to be in the air. The wind is good, we have a little bit of gust, that seems to be okay. Now the flags are down again. So as soon as André can put full power on the 4 electrical engines, the round the world will start. And I repeat, always, it's an attempt. And although we're very ambitious with our goal, we're very modest in front of all the tremendous challenges that are awaiting us both and our team and everybody who is following us. What is great is to have so many people following us because they understand the message. They understand that with clean technologies, we can achieve the impossible. That's what we want to demonstrate. And our web team has launched the Future is Clean platform. So come on solarimpulse.com and go and click on the Future is Clean action. We've launched it with Prince Albert of Monaco, with Richard Branson, my friend since such a long time, with our friend Swan, and a lot of people, the European Commissioner for Energy, the Minister of Energy in Switzerland, Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Minister of Ecology in France, a lot of people active on this platform, and we want to raise millions of voices in favor of clean technologies. So if you're watching the plane taking off, know what you have to do. You have to support this action, because actually that's why we're flying.
That was Bertrand Picard, the initiator and co-founder of Solar Impulse, giving a few words to all of you watching and explaining the symbol, the message behind Solar Impulse that we want to get across, that it is possible to achieve the impossible, which is what we've done with Solar Impulse, and encouraging you all to lobby your government leaders for a cleaner future without fossil fuels. And all the information is on solarimpulse.com. The initiative is called Future is Clean. And again, all that information is on our website, solarimpulse.com. A lovely picture of Solar Impulse as it prepares to take off. And meanwhile, here in Monaco at the Monaco Mission Control, we're getting ready for takeoff as well. The flight director is ready with his new assistant. And if you can take a look at Mission Control now, you might be able to see him now. You might recognize him as well.
Écoutez, ça va vraiment bien.
And of course, Prince Albert of Monaco, who is in fact going to be giving the final go to André Borschberg. Prince Albert, who has been very heavily involved in this project for many, many years, and is a good friend of Bertrand Picard. And it's thanks to him, in fact, that we're here in Monaco, being extremely well looked after. So thank you again to Prince Albert, the Prince's Foundation, and the Government of Monaco. Representatives of all of those organisations are here today, as well as a representative from the United Arab Emirates Embassy, and members of the press, lots of members of the French press. We have Chinese media here as well. I think there are a few other countries represented, and maybe we'll get to chat with them a little bit later on. But for now, takeoff is imminent. Around about 5 minutes' time, Solar Impulse 2 will take off for the start of this groundbreaking round-the-world attempt.
Et je crois que tout le monde est très impatient de vous voir décoller et de vous voir partir.
Merci beaucoup en tout cas. Vous pouvez faire un travail absolument fantastique. Tous ceux qui ont de vos équipes pour nous installer, c'est pas une mince affaire, de tension et d'autres complexités. Mais un grand merci à toutes les équipes et puis à votre accueil.
Merci, on est très sensible à ça et on est très content de participer à cette aventure merveilleuse.
Alors je vais demander maintenant l'autorisation de rouler et puis on se reparle sur la piste dès que je suis en position.
Ok, bien reçu. Merci.
Andre, can you let us know a little bit about the status there? Are you moving to the runway already?
Yeah, I'm calling quick now.
Sam, je vais pas dans une
Okay, rolling.
Mais ok. Hein?
D'accord, ça va.
Copy.
Rolling pour la
Non, moi je fais le décollage de une voiture. Hein?
This is Solar Impulse TV Live. If you've just
Andre,
joined
can
us,
you check if Niels
we
if
are
you
getting ready
check
now
the
for
Y cable
takeoff.
type of the main landing gear and the gas spring alignment.
Oh,
Ole Rochberg, the pilot. This first leg, which is from Abu Dhabi to Muscat International Airport in Oman.
yeah, this one's
Conditions, as we heard a little earlier from our meteorologist Luke Trillemans, are perfect. No problems at all. The wind is within the acceptable limits. Wind is often the enemy for us and often leads to delays in takeoff, sometimes for several days. But for now, everything is fine. Solar Impulse 2 currently being moved, as you can see, physically pulled as well from the apron to the runway. And I advise you all to stay tuned very, very closely for the next few minutes because takeoff is going to be very rapid. Once the motors have started, it will literally take just a few seconds before the plane is in the air.
We are not just playing around anymore.
No.
This is Solar Impulse TV live with pictures coming to us from Abu Dhabi. You can see Solar Impulse 2 being manoeuvred into position onto runway 13 of Bateen Executive Airport for the imminent departure. If this is your first time watching a Solar Impulse takeoff, you're in for a treat. It really is quite spectacular. And if you have any questions as well, then feel free to send them to us. On solarimpulse.com, you'll find all the details of how to get in touch with us, and we will do our best to reply to you. And if you have a question for the pilot, then send those to us as well, and we'll try and get him to answer them.
Morning, Gavin. How are you? Good. a suite also at the Holiday Inn. They give us a suite. Ça va là, Boris? C'est quoi la bulle, Boris?
Ok.
So basically we have time to talk now, huh?
Yeah. So I'm clear to Egypt, that's a bit further away, so initially 1,500 yards.
Okay, Andre, the decision is the following. The electric engineers want to check the connector on the DC3, and it would mean we have to open the door, but we want to remain on the runway. Can you check that with Niels and the guys? Hans is on the way. He would need 10 minutes, and then we can go.
Okay, I will ask Tower first.
Copy.
You told Hans already or not yet?
Yes, he's informed.
Okay, so I will switch the mode off now, confirm.
Confirm.
Niels, the Monaco viewing.
Yes, flight director.
Okay, Niels, we need to reopen the cockpit and we want to do some electrical check before leaving, so please prepare.
This is Solar Impulse TV Live. If you're expecting takeoff of SI2 from Abu Dhabi to Oman, it is going to happen, but as we've just heard, there is going to be a slight delay of around about 10 minutes. There are some details that need to be checked by our engineers. This is, of course, a high-risk project. There's no benchmarking for this kind of thing, so we do our best to keep all risks to a minimum. And if there's any doubt at all, then takeoff will be delayed to make sure that all these final checks can take place. You can see now Solar Impulse 2 on the tarmac, on the runway in fact, at Abu Dhabi, and we're coming to you live from Monaco, from the Mission Control Center. And Prince Albert himself is here to give the final takeoff command. Got up extremely early this morning. It is just after 2:30 here in Monaco. Or rather 3:30 here in Monaco. It's been a long day.
C'est pas très long ce vol, hein.
Today's pilot to kick off this round-the-world attempt is Andre Borschberg, a very experienced fighter pilot, one of the co-founders of Solar Impulse. In fact, he's the CEO of Solar Impulse, and he's the man who's put together the design, the construction team, who's gathered the engineers who have made this plane a possibility, taking it from a dream which many said was impossible to a reality, and getting ready now, after 13 years of planning, to take this airplane into the sky. There was a lot of discussion about who would be the first pilot between Andre Borschberg and Bertrand Piccard. They say they just decided very recently. And the deal is that if it's Andre that takes off for the first leg, it's going to be Bertrand who lands back in Abu Dhabi at the end. So I think both of them win. This leg shouldn't be particularly testing. It's quite a short one, but it's all relative. For Solar Impulse, short means around 12 hours. The second leg, which will be piloted by Bertrand Piccard from Oman to Ahmedabad in India, is actually going to be a record-breaking leg in terms of duration. This will be the longest flight in terms of duration ever by a solar-powered airplane. And as we go on, there will be many, many more records broken. The longest flight we're expecting is going to be the flight across the Pacific from JFK Airport in New York to Honolulu in Hawaii. And it's going to be a 5-day, 5-night flight. And yes, you heard that right. 5 days and 5 nights. One pilot in a little box less than 4 meters cubed.
Yes.
Okay, Andre, for your information, the intention is that Hans checks the connector, the DC3 or some other connectors there. If this is all fine, we might have to change the DC3 unit because the electrician Seb and Ruby are not really happy about the situation for the moment. But we have a spare part, and as long as we stay in the limits for ground ops and the takeoff, we can remain on the runway from our point of view.
Okay.
Right, that was the sound of Michi Anger, who is Capcom. Capcom, a term that comes from NASA, the pilot communication. What we do and try and do is to keep communication to one person. If the pilot hears lots of voices, it can get very confusing for him. So all the information is relayed from the various teams to the flight director, who is the boss, that's Raymond Claire. But the person who actually speaks to the pilot is the person in charge of Capcom, and we have different people in that team. And today it's Michi, who knows the pilot extremely well. He's also an engineer. So he's able to relay accurately all the information to the pilot and know what he's talking about.
Dans 1 minute à l'avion, ok, super, merci. À toutes, ciao, merci, ciao. So Hans will be at the plane in 1 minute. Hans will be at the plane in 1 minute.
Okay, Andre, for information, Hans will be at the aircraft in about a minute.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Well, if you're watching this, chances are you're doing it via our website, solarimpulse.com. And you would have noticed it's a brand new website. It's been completely redesigned. And as we're waiting for the final checks, you might want to have a little flick around the website and see what's on there. And you'll see there's huge amounts of information there on the website. You can find out exactly what's happening. You can even see information about the pilot's health. And as we go on through the next legs, we will, of course, give you regular updates on the website. We'll have some members of the team behind the website explaining to you all, and to me as well, actually, because it's new to all of us, what you can do on the website and what you can see. It's much more interactive than it has been before. And there are many, many ways for you to get in touch with us. We want to hear from you. Any questions you might have about Solar Impulse? Why we're doing this as well. It's not just about exploration. And more about the Future is Clean initiative. And we're just waiting now for a spare part, which is not as worrying as it might sound. We're just expecting a relatively short delay. We don't think it's going to be problematic for takeoff. This is still as planned. A little later than scheduled, I admit. But this is fairly normal for Solar Impulse. If you followed our missions before across America and before that from Switzerland to Morocco, you'll know that we have to make sure that risk has been minimized as much as possible to ensure plane and pilot safety.
Ouais, j'ai bien reçu ça. Merci.
Vous pensez que si on fait un changement complet du DC3 pour maintenant?
Je ne peux pas te répondre là. Ruby, Peter parlait d'un contrôle par Hans qui durerait 10 minutes environ.
Oui, ça c'est le contrôle. Mais si le contrôle ne donne rien, moi je pense qu'on peut rien aussi. On va pas reporter le vol pour un truc qui n'apparaît pas, quoi.
Alors eux, ils sont définitivement contre, hein, juste pour dire.
Des montants quoi?
Si on ne trouve pas le bug, ils sont contre qu'on parte.
Is goed, yes. Er is angemeldet hier, vanaf op, dat is schon, ich habe die ganze Reboot gemacht und nach dem Reboot ist die Ordnung gekommen. Also ist nicht zurückgekommen. Was weg? Okay. Could you take this away? N'oublie pas d'organiser les feuilles après, j'en ai plus rien. Ja. Ja.
4,5. 4,5, tu peux le faire manuellement en mettant dans le menu.
You're watching Solar Impulse TV Live, coming to you from Mission Control in Monaco. You can see Prince Albert of Monaco sitting next to the flight director Raymond Claire, getting ready, hoping to give the go for departure of Solar Impulse 2, which is currently on the tarmac at Bateen Airport in Abu Dhabi. As you might have heard from the communication between the Mission Control and the pilot André Borschberg, there seems to be a slight technical hitch, which we're hoping will be resolved shortly.
Merci. Oui, oui. Ouais, je pense que oui. Ok. D'accord, ouais. Ouais, j'ai vu sur le... Ok, super. Merci. Standing with 3 knots headed.
These are live pictures of André Borschberg in the cockpit on what we call SATCOM. This is satellite communication, and these are the kind of images you'll see once André is in the air. For much of the flight, if not all of the flight, we will be able to see live pictures of André. And we will have, of course, full coverage of the landing, which, fingers crossed, is going to be taking place late this afternoon. Around about 12 hours, the flight time which is expected.
directement le visuel, on aura aussi le profil, et ça demande un petit peu de fine-tuning. Ouais, écoute, c'est tout bon. Ah ouais, absolument, merci.
Do we change? Yeah? 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 No problem. Yeah. Okay, so what do we do? Yeah, but it's not good now. So, okay guys, we don't see anything from the connector.
Okay, copied. What does it mean there?
So it means that we go,
Okay, yes, stand by.
the is working, the DCP is working, so I mean the airplane is on now. I think
Yeah, I copy discussions here, stand by.
okay.
I mean, we have quite some margin with the wind for the moment, so let's take a wise decision here.
Yeah, sure. I think the best is to think about well the potency is the degree and by training what we do, how we can organize, what's happening.
Yes,
And
I just want that Ruby and the others feel comfortable to go as well.
yeah. You do the job out? Okay.
If you're just tuning into Solar Impulse TV, don't worry, you haven't missed the takeoff. It has been slightly delayed because of a slight technical hitch. Picked up a bug in one of the electrical components, but as we can hear from communication between the pilot and mission control, it seems more and more likely that takeoff will happen. Let's just listen into that conversation now.
Okay, aber das ist, also weißt du, die Experimentalflugzeug. Okay?
I copied, Andre.
Okay, super.
Ça va et toi? Tu me l'apportes comment? Ah bien sûr, tiens. Ça va? Avec un petit café là.
We can't quite see him, but that's Bertrand Picard just on the other side of the aircraft.
When you pull the circuit breaker of the DC-3 with Hans before, was there the master warning coming still?
No, it pulled the CD warning 1 and 2, because you wanted to check the black there.
Okay, we checked warning 1 and 2.
Warning 1 and 2.
Okay, that was important here.
Okay.
Stand by for a few minutes.
Sure.
These are live conversations between mission control here in Monaco and the pilot of Solar Impulse for today's leg, André Borschberg. A few minutes of discussion, and if we can take a look at the plane, we can see on the left of the screen, that's the door of the cockpit, which has been taken off for some last-minute checks.
On vous tient compagnie un peu pendant ces quelques minutes.
Oui, ça fait toujours partie un petit peu de ce type d'avion, de cette expérience. d'avoir des petites surprises. Bon, en fait, dans l'aviation, on a souvent des petites surprises, des alarmes qui viennent, mais il faut quand même checker que ça ne soit pas quelque chose qui puisse être dérangeant pour le vol, mettre la sécurité en péril. Donc, c'est pour ça qu'on a évidemment une équipe qui est un petit peu séparée, un peu moins sous la pression, parce que c'est vrai que nous, on a la pression tant qu'on veut y aller. Donc, c'est bon d'avoir aussi les conseils de gens qui sont pas dans le feu d'action, mais qui réfléchissent avec la tête froide, en fait, de stratégie à faire.
Oui, non, en fait, c'est intéressant à suivre tout ça d'ici, bien sûr, mais j'espère que ça n'impactera pas le bon déroulement du vol.
Non, je ne sais pas non plus. En tout cas, on se prépare, mais je suis persuadé que ça va bien se passer. Mais c'est bien de faire les choses de manière professionnelle. Je dis que je dois pousser, hein. Tu la pousses?
You're watching a live conversation between Prince Albert of Monaco, who's with us here at Monaco Mission Control, and today's pilot André Borschberg. André, just explaining that it's good to hear the opinions of people who aren't directly involved in the flight, the engineers, the people involved in the design process, who can reflect with a clear head and sometimes have a different opinion from the pilot who, as you might well understand, just wants to get off the ground and get going.
En train de remettre la porte ici. Voilà. Alors, on va voir la décision. Je pense qu'il y a toujours ici. Et on a remis la porte en tout cas chez nous. Et puis on sera prêt bientôt à partir. On se verra.
Ready to go soon, the latest words from André Borschberg. The doors of the cockpit has now been reaffixed, which is good news.
We are waiting for an answer of Peter.
Okay.
Now we're just waiting for a word from the SRB, that's the Safety Review Board. And that review board includes Marcus Scherdel, who is the test pilot for all of the Solar Impulse missions, and also Claude Nicolier, Switzerland's, so far, only astronaut. André Borschberg waiting patiently, as we all are. Here in Monaco, lots of people have come to see this live at Mission Control, and I know there are many people waiting for takeoff in Abu Dhabi, at Bateen Airport and around, looking for the best vantage points. The vantage points are on the website, solarimpulse.com. I know that there were 2 or 3 places that are said to be particularly good. I think the Fairmont Hotel in Abu Dhabi is one of those places, but we'll check for you a little later. Do send us your pictures as well. If you're sending any pictures or videos, make sure that we get them, and we will make sure the best
André, for your information,
are shown on Solar
already
Impulse TV.
starts with gathering the final call answers.
Okay, bye. The sun is up here. It's gorgeous. Visibility is not so great, but you know, it's one of these warm stay of the Arabic Peninsula.
Yeah, we also have some live footages from you outside, and looks really hazy.
Exactly, it's quite hazy there. We have good coffee, so that's yeah. Well, I care to upgrade my coffee machine in the airplane.
Exactly. I guess we do the Viking departure.
Exactly, that's a good idea.
These images are coming to you live from the Mission Control Center in Monaco as we await
Andre, do you have your
the departure of
OMP
Solar Impulse
close to
2.
you somewhere in this map from Laila?
Hello?
Maybe you get it out for a second and we can discuss the waypoints.
Go ahead.
4 knots in the axis, take 2 or 3 minutes and we are ready. Everything is ready except the final go from the safety relief. Okay?
Okay, Andre, for your information, everything is ready. We have 4 knots for the moment in the axis. This is fine. We still wait for the final go from the SRB, but expect an answer in the next 5 minutes. And regarding the OFP, you see the waypoints on your left, and we put into the flight plan up to Mike India Papa.
Yep.
And then there's a user-defined waypoint or 2, like F0103. It's 2 times in there, which is basically close to this Alpha Delta 5. No, sorry, stop. No, basically what I want to say is this F0103 and F0103 the next time are user-defined waypoints. Nothing to worry. The next important one is Kilo Alpha November India Papa. Then the next waypoint is the FIR boundary, which is not an official waypoint, and the next waypoint after is Papa Alpha X-ray India Mike.
Okay. That's it.
And another information regarding the
So
point.
just to confirm, to make sure that because the visibility is going to be low, that Alpha Delta 533 is the point which is the nearest Akito direction the international airport.
Yes, affirmative.
Okay, so that's quite clear. That's okay. Okay, no, it's perfect. Very much.
Emmanuel, moi je pense, si toi, il y a...
If you were listening into that conversation between Mission Control and the pilots of Solar Impulse for today's leg, André Borschberg, just taking the opportunity to go through the flight plan as we have this delay. There was a bit of concern from some of the electrical engineers over one of the components in the plane. That seems to have been resolved. Now we're just waiting for the final go-ahead from our safety review board. Before every flight, we have a report from the Safety Review Board, and because of this new development, they just have to make sure that they're happy, and they will send their recommendations to the pilot. The pilot is not obliged to take those recommendations on board, but we do have a lot of respect for their opinion, and they are deliberately not here on site. The idea is they're not caught up in the action and they can react with a cool head using their experience. We have Peter Fry, who is part of our design team, one of the people who actually designed the airplane. We have Marcus Schedel, who is the test pilot for Solar Impulse, and also Claude Nicolier, former Swiss astronaut. Still looking good for a takeoff this morning. Conditions are good. Our enemy is always the wind. If the wind gets above around 10, 11 knots, it's too dangerous to take off. I mean, just take a look at that plane with a wingspan that size. Turbulence can be extremely dangerous. So we need to make sure that the winds are low, and at the moment, everyone seems fairly confident that we're well within the window for takeoff. And if we get any more information, you will hear it here first on Solar Impulse TV. A reminder that this is the first leg of a groundbreaking round-the-world attempt by this solar airplane, which is still the only solar airplane capable of flying day and right through the night, almost indefinitely. And if you're wondering whether or not your country and city are on the round-the-world flight attempt, well, I'll take you through them now. Abu Dhabi, where we are, then off to Oman. Fingers crossed in a few minutes' time. Then over to Ahmedabad in India, in the state of Gujarat. Over to Uttar Pradesh after that, Varanasi, for another short stop before we head to Mandalay in Myanmar. From there, the next step is Chongqing in China. We have some Chinese journalists here. Just tell me, did I pronounce that okay? Chongqing, it's good. Thank you very much. They've said it's fine. And then Nanjing. Yes, they're also happy. And we will be in Nanjing for quite a while, a few weeks, making sure the plane is in good condition, but also making sure that we spread the Solar Impulse message of clean technology and renewable energy for all across the whole country. And the next leg will be probably the most difficult of all, definitely the most grueling for the pilot. 5 days and 5 nights across the Pacific from Nanjing to Honolulu in Hawaii. And from there, another long flight from Hawaii to Phoenix, Arizona. From there to the Midwest, to as yet to be determined airport, and from there to JFK Airport in New York, where we will prepare for the next big ocean crossing, the transatlantic crossing, which takes us from New York right the way over to either Southern Europe or North Africa, between 3 and 4 days. It all depends, as it so often does, on the wind. And the last leg is going to be an extremely tricky leg for many different reasons, flying over land and sea across many countries. It's going to be a big challenge for our air traffic controllers to get us in this slow flying airplane from either Southern Europe or North Africa back to Abu Dhabi. Current estimates are that we'll arrive back in Abu Dhabi sometime late June, early July. But there's a long way to go before we get there. We're taking it step by step. Pilots tell us they take it day by day. They're just concentrating on the present, living in the moment, as they call it, which they'll definitely have to do over those 5-day, 5-night flights.
André, c'est Albert. Est-ce qu'on peut savoir s'il fait chaud dans le cockpit?
Ça va encore, mais non. Je suis mis de manière finalement assez légère. Et le soleil est à peine levé, mais il donne encore aucune chaleur à l'intérieur. C'est vrai que si je vais rester un petit peu plus longtemps, je pense dans 1 heure, 1 heure et demie, il va commencer à faire très chaud, parce qu'avec la ventilation, donc on est arrêté. Et ensuite, ça va être vraiment l'inverse. Quand on va monter, il va falloir s'habiller. Donc vous verrez m'habiller peut-être un peu plus tard pendant la journée, quand on va monter vers 6 et 7
C'est un petit colis.
Et chez vous, vous avez une météo aujourd'hui?
On a eu une très très belle journée aujourd'hui. Il a fait, je crois, jusqu'à 18 degrés maximum, avec un beau soleil, un peu plus frais le soir.
Ah bah c'est magnifique. Les belles journées de printemps qui arrivent chez vous, ça doit être magique là.
Ah oui, c'était superbe.
It's a live conversation between Prince Albert of Monaco and André Borschberg, today's pilot, just asking what the temperature's like in the cockpit, and André just saying that it's still pretty
On
comfortable.
arrive en espérant qu'on arrive à partir aujourd'hui encore, et gardons l'espoir. Mais ce serait assez extraordinaire si on pouvait venir un petit peu dans votre région quand on fait le retour du sud de l'Europe sur le point de départ. Mais bon, il y a encore beaucoup de choses à faire d'ici là, donc c'est encore pour demain. C'est bien de l'avoir dans l'esprit.
Non, bien sûr, le chemin est long encore, mais ça serait bien sûr extraordinaire si vous arriviez à faire ça sur le retour. On serait tous enchantés.
Le but, c'est de se rapprocher du possible pour faire un petit peu ce que la météo nous permettra de faire. Avec la météo, c'est toujours quelque chose qui est important dans notre prise de décision. Donc on est assez tributaire et puis on a à suivre des endroits qui sont favorables avec son oiseau.
Et oui, mais oui, l'important, ce sera la route optimum. Et, on espère bien qu'elle passera par Monaco.
Voilà, exactement. Les choses sont souvent bien faites, j'ai pas mal d'espoir.
Prince Albert just expressing his hope that Solar Impulse will be able to fly over Monaco, but a long way to go before we get there.
Donc je croise les doigts.
Surtout quand c'est des énergies solaires.
Voilà, exactement. Exactement.
Bon, on attend toujours. Raymond n'est toujours pas revenu de son aparté avec d'autres techniciens. Là.
Avec des avions, ouais, voilà. Patient. Moi aussi, il n'y a pas trop de vent. Mais c'est un petit peu inquiet que le vent se lève trop vite. Par contre, il y a une météo un peu bizarre avec en fait, c'est comme du sable en suspension dans l'air. Hein, on a pris du désert quand on a des vents du sud. Et effectivement, la température est un petit peu plus haute ces jours. On est vite à 30, 32, 33 degrés dans la journée. Et ça donne cette air qui est finalement assez chargée, où le soleil maintenant, au lever du jour, a de peine à pénétrer en fait. Il se montre difficilement. La visite n'est pas très bonne. Je vois à peine la mosquée, la grande mosquée qui est en bout de piste, c'est magnifique. Je la devine à peine en fait justement dans cette visibilité relativement faible du matin.
André, Albert, j'ai une bonne nouvelle pour vous. Je vous donne le go pour le départ de Solar Impulse. Bon vol. Merci.
C'est magnifique. Merci à vous. La nouvelle complète meilleure. Et venons-vous, c'est un grand plaisir. C'est un très très grand plaisir. Hein. Vous nous suivez depuis le début du projet. Vous êtes vraiment un supporter, un ami fidèle du projet. Vraiment merci de tout cœur. Et puis on pense à vous. Depuis l'avion, depuis Abu Dhabi à toute l'équipe de Monaco.
A quick translation, Prince Albert of Monaco giving Andre Borschberg, the go. Everything is fine. It's all imminent. A bit of a delay, but we've made it. Means we've got the go from our safety review board.
Switch on the engines and they are in docking. Please switch on also the solar generator as we are now an hour later.
Okay, we switched on the solar generator. What I do now, I will ask the confirm the authorization to take off.
Yes, coordinate with the tower.
Excuse me?
Yes, coordinate with the tower.
Okay, will do.
Okay, so get ready for this, the takeoff of Solar Impulse 2 on the beginning of the round-the-world flight attempt from Abu Dhabi to Oman for the first leg. I say stay tuned because it's a blink and you miss it moment. Once the engines are run up and the plane starts moving, it will literally take a few seconds before the plane is in the air.
Okay, finally, gentlemen, we are ready to go. It's absolutely fantastic. Thank you to everyone. It's magic moment. So I think the complete goal is to create a music.
Good flight. Let's start the adventure.
Thank you very much.
And here we go already. And we're in the air. Andre Borschberg on his way off to Oman. The round-the-world flight attempt has begun. And we're going to stay with the plane for just a few more minutes until we can't see it anymore.
Yes. So you
These are live pictures of Solar Impulse 2 leaving Abu Dhabi after quite a lengthy stay. And a big thanks to everyone in Abu Dhabi, from the government, from Masdar. We have a representative of the United Arab Emirates here with us at the Monaco Mission Control. And we hope to be back in mid-June after what will be an extremely exciting round-the-world flight. Andre Borschberg and Solar Impulse 2 disappearing into the haze on his way to Oman, to Muscat International Airport in Oman. Now that picture you will still be able to see throughout the day, throughout the flight of Andre Borschberg. Stay with us on solarimpulse.com throughout the day. There's plenty of information on the site. And as we go on, maybe a little later today, we might be able to give you more information on our landing show. If not, stay tuned tomorrow, and we will have all the latest for you here on Solar Impulse TV. If you take a look around the website, solarimpulse.com, you'll find a lot more information. And I'm looking forward to having a little flick around in it myself. Brand new website. You can also find out about the Future is Clean initiative, which is a new initiative which we are launching in association with many of our partners to lobby world leaders for a clean future without fossil fuels. So that is Future is Clean. Again, the information all on the website solarimpulse.com.